Welcome back, guys. Today, we are here to absolutely destroy certain practices that have permeated within the game industry this console generation. Nobody is safe. Fanboys beware. Easily offended. It's time to leave. Obviously, gaming is a business and money-driven industry. But the tactics used this generation to squeeze every penny out of consumers is absolutely deplorable. Integrity has been completely thrown out the window. Predatory tactics have been adopted by nearly all companies in the industry, so much to the point that the inclusion of the phrase "no microtransactions" is touted as a feature and selling point, as opposed to the good old days where you spent $60 and you purchased a finished product and had access to all content. I do believe that it is only right to place blame where blame is due, and rarely as it pertains to this issue are the developers at fault, but a result of pressure from publishers. Some factors that contribute to this growing problem and that come as a result are the rise of games as a service, the lack of a needed price increase within the industry despite decades of rising development costs and cycles, and shipping of unfinished products. Every single publisher is pressuring their developers to try and catch lightning in a bottle and attempt to emulate the success that is the gargantuan known as Fortnite, which essentially prints money in 2019, bringing in $1.8 billion. All these companies are competing for two commodities, money and time. The longer they can keep the gamer hooked and invested, constantly dangling a digital carrot in front of their faces, the more inclined you are to spend money. So rather than enjoying finished games, we are giving games that are meant to never end and are designed that way to constantly bring in revenue rather than a one-time purchase. Some of the worst offenders: Star Wars Battlefront, Shadows of War, and a very recent offender is Crystal Dynamics' Avengers. EA's Star Wars Battlefront sold a season pass at a whopping $50 in addition to the initial $60 investment, bringing the total to $110. You would think EA would avoid this disgusting practice in the future, given the intense backlash they received. Yet in Star Wars Battlefront 2, they opted out of a season pass, but replaced it with an equally predatory and abusive practice. In order to unlock the full roster of playable characters, it would cost 60,000 in-game credits, which equates to over 40 hours of playtime to earn, yet always offering the option to buy in-game credits with real-world currency. This type of practice consciously abuses the gamer with limited time by attempting to give them the nudge they need to crack open the wallet again, despite having already purchased the game at a $60 price point. Another shameful practice utilized is locking the true ending behind massive grinds that take dozens of hours, or the publisher's preferred method, the paywall, as was so prominently on display in Middle-earth Shadow of War. Our most recent example is Avengers, a game that offers microtransactions in the form of cosmetics. These outrageous and ridiculously priced emotes can come in the form of Miss Marvel whipping out a drink and taking a sip. Wait a minute, where did she just pull that from? Yeah, that can't be sanitary. This costs $15? Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it moving. In addition to this, all post-game characters will have a $10 battle pass as well. While greed is a massive factor in these anti-consumer tactics, the real problem is the lack of flexibility and growth in the industry when it comes to evaluating the current pricing structure. During the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis days, games were priced between $40 and $80, stabilizing to approximately $50 during the Nintendo 64 era, later hitting the mark that we have come to know and expect at $60 during the PS3 360 days. This is where the problem exists. PS3 and 360 launched in 2005 and 2006. These consoles launched 15 years ago, along with the $60 price point that the industry has settled on. While video game pricing has remained stagnant for over a decade, the cost and length of development and the necessary personnel to deliver on a game has grown exponentially. With that in mind, it is so much harder for publishers to break even and turn a profit, which has resulted in subsidizing development costs through other methods such as post-game downloadable content, which oftentimes is content that was part of the original product but stripped out and presented as DLC, usually a move made by the publishers, not the developers. We also see this subsidization happening with season passes, loot box systems, pay to win, or making certain aspects of a game so insufferable that we would rather pay to avoid it, and this is by design. EA Electronic Arts makes the list again for another shameful attempt at this in the form of UFC 4. This game shipped, got reviewed, and after the review period was over, patched in real-world advertisements, forcing us to be subjected to commercials after paying $60 for the product. Yes, while I blame the publishers for these disgusting practices, it is time to reevaluate the pricing structure of games. Games need to more closely reflect development costs so that we are not preyed upon. If raising the price in games is what it takes for developers to stop taking advantage of consumers, it's time to do it. While it's worth noting that many of the upcoming next-gen games are priced at $70, which is a much-needed price increase, it is still to be determined if this is good or not. If they increase the price of games to supplement the growth in development costs, but still utilize the aforementioned predatory practices, then it was all for nothing and these publishers are just trash. There will always be sheep who cannot remove the blindfold to see how despicable said practices are and will make the argument, if you don't want it, you don't have to buy it, completely neglecting how this impacts the final product, giving us a watered-down version of the developer's original vision. These types of practices and consumer complacency have given us games like Fallout 76 and Anthem, and we all know how that worked out. It is time for the game industry to abandon these tactics, price the game accordingly, and respect the consumers, who without them would be nothing. In addition to a price increase, cost of games should be flexible. Game pricing should exist across a tiered pricing structure. Let's be honest, every game is not a AAA game that should have a $60 price tag. Ninja Theory's Hellblade knew that and priced their amazing game at $29.99, which was about a 6 to 8 hour experience. Don't get me wrong, the time it takes to beat a game is not the sole measuring factor on how much a game should be priced at. But according to the co-founder and creative director of Hellblade, Hellblade has been all about trying to rejuvenate the space between indie and AAA, bringing back AA games. It is worth noting that they were able to keep the cost down by making Hellblade digital only, a practice that should be considered by more developers to keep costs low, which is actually the norm in the world of PC. The game industry is failing consumers and needs to undergo a massive overhaul in how it handles pricing. Greed is crippling the industry, and publishers are disrespecting the immeasurable amount of effort put forth by developers by gutting their products and presenting it to consumers in an a la carte fashion. Far too often have games come out broken and unfinished to meet deadlines, and it takes months of patches before the game is at an acceptable standard, technically speaking. Two amazing games that were riddled with technical issues were 2019's Game of the Year Control and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I would like to note that both of these games were amazing, but could have benefited from additional development time and polish. Of course, pressure from publishers, investors, and stockholders fueled by greed does not allow such things to happen. The game industry needs to change. Consumers need to demand it by not supporting these trash practices. Speak with your wallet. With this upcoming console generation, maybe now is when we'll see this change. We can only hope. Thank you for being with me for this discussion. Let's demand change within the industry together. If you like this content, please like and subscribe for more great content related to gaming. Let me know down below in the comments your thoughts on the state of the game industry. Always remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Until next time.